Chapter 3. What is pranayama? Regulation of breath or the control of prana is the stoppage of inhalation and exhalation, which follows after securing that steadiness of posture or seat. This is the definition of pranayama in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Svasa means inspiratory breath. Prasvasa means expiratory breath. You can take up the practice of pranayama after you have gained steadiness in your asana, seat. If you can sit for 3 hours in one asana, continuously at one stretch, you have gained mastery over the asana. If you are able to sit from half to 1 hour even, you can take up the practice of pranayama. You can hardly make any spiritual progress without the practice of pranayama. Prana is vyashti, when the individual is concerned. The sum total of the cosmic energy or cosmic prana is Hiranyagarbha, who is known as the floating golden egg. Hiranyagarbha is samashti prana. One matchstick is vyashti, single. The whole matchbox is samashti. A single mango tree is vyashti. The whole mango grove is samashti. The energy in the body is prana. By controlling the motion of the lungs or respiratory organs, we can control the prana that is vibrating inside. By control of prana, the mind can be easily controlled because the mind is fastened to the prana, like the bird to the string. Just as the bird that is tied to a post by a string, after flying here and there, finds its resting place in the post, so also this mind bird after running hither and thither, in various sensual objects, finds its resting place during deep sleep in the prana. Pranayam, according to the Gita. Apne jovati pranam pranepnam tathapre, pranapnakti ruddhva pranayama prayana, Gita, ch. 429. Others offer prana, outgoing breath, in apna, incoming breath, and apna in prana, restraining the passage of prana and apna, absorbed in pranayam. Pranayam is a precious yajna, sacrifice. Some practice the kind of pranayam called puraka, filling in. Some practice the kind of pranayam called rechaka, emptying. Some are engaged in the practice of pranayam called kumbhaka, by impeding the outward passage of air, through the nostrils and the mouth, and by impeding the inward passage of the air, in the opposite direction. Pranayam, according to Sri Sankaracharya. Pranayam is the control of all life forces by realizing naught but Brahman in all things as the mind, etc. The negation of the universe is the outgoing breath. The thought, I am Brahman, itself is called the incoming breath. The permanence of that thought thereafter is the restrained breath. This is the pranayam of the wise, while the pressing of the nose is only for the unknowing. Approximably 118 to 120. Pranayam, according to Yogi Busunda. Busunda says to Sri Vasishtha, in the cool lotus of the heart within this visible tenement of flesh composed of the 5 elements, there are 2 vayus, viz, prana and apna, commingled in it. For those who tread smoothly and without any or the slightest efforts, the path of these 2 vayus will become the sun and the moon themselves in the heart, akasha, and will rove in the akasha and yet be animating and carrying their fleshy tabernacle. These vayus will go up and down to higher and lower states. They are of the same nature in the waking, dreaming and dreamless sleeping state, and permeate all throughout. Divide a filament of the lotus stalk into 1,000 times, and you will find these vayus more subtle than that. Hence it is difficult for me to treat about the nature of these vayus and their vibrations. Of these, prana does ceaselessly vibrate in this body, with an upward motion, both externally and internally, while apna having the same fluctuating tendency, vibrates both external and internal to the body having a downward motion. It will be beneficial if the prana exhaled to the extent of 16 digits, is inhaled to the same extent. Only 12 digits are inhaled ordinarily. Those who have brought to experience, viz, the equalization of prana in exhalation and inhalation will enjoy infinite bliss. Now hear about the characteristics of prana. The inhalation to the length of 12 digits of the prana which has been exhaled is called the internal Puraka, inhalation. This also is called the internal Puraka, when Apna Vayu re-enters the body from outside without any effort. When Apna Vayu ceases to manifest itself and prana gets absorbed in the heart, then the time occupied in such a state is internal Kumbha. Yogins are able to experience all these. When the prana in the akasha of the heart manifests itself externally, to the heart within, in diverse aspects without any affliction to the mind, then it is called the external Rechaka, exhalation. When the externally fluctuating prana enters the nose and stops there at its tip, then it is called the external Puraka. But when it is passing from the tip of the nose, it goes down 12 digits. Then also it is called the external Puraka. When prana goes arrested without an apna within, then it is called the external Kumbhaka. When the shining apna vayu takes an upward bent within, then it is styled the external Rechaka. All these practices lead to moksha. Therefore they should ever be meditated upon. Those who have understood and practiced well all the external and internal Kumbhakas and others will never be reborn. All the 8 courses I have given out before are capable of yielding moksha. They should be practiced both day and night. Those who are associated with these practices smoothly and control their minds by not letting them run in other directions will in course of time attain nirvana. Such practitioners will never thirst after material pleasures. They will ever be in their uniform practice, whether walking, standing, waking, dreaming or sleeping. Prana, having flown out, will again be absorbed in the heart having run back 12 digits. Similarly will apna be absorbed in the heart, having issued out of the heart and running back 12 digits to it. Apna being the moon, will cool the whole body in its passage. But prana being the sun, will generate heat in the system and cook or digest everything in it. Will pains arise in one who has reached that supreme state, where the colors, rays, of apna the moon, are drowned by prana the sun? Will rebirth arise in one who has reached that powerful seat, when the colors of prana, the sun, are devoured by apna the moon? These will arrest at once the 7 births of those who reach that neutral state where they find apna vayu consumed by prana and vice versa. I eulogize that Chidatma, who is in that intermediate state, where prana and apna are absorbed in one another. I meditate ceaselessly upon that Chidatma, who is in the Akasha, directly in front, at the end of my nose, where prana and apna both become extinct. Thus it is through this path of prana's control, that I attain the supreme and immaculate tattva, devoid of pains. Control of breath. The first important step is to master the asana of posture or to control the body. The next exercise is pranayama. Correct posture is indispensably requisite for the successful practice of pranayama. An easy, comfortable posture is asana. That pose is the best which continues to be comfortable for the greatest length of time. Chest, neck, and head must be in one vertical line. You should not bend the body either forwards or laterally, i.e., either on the right or left side. You should not sit crooked. You should not allow the body to collapse. You must not bend the body either forwards or backwards. By regular practice, the mastery over the pose will come by itself. Fatty people will find it difficult to practice the Padma Asana or the lotus pose. They can sit on the Sukha Asana, comfortable pose, or Siddha Asana, perfected pose. You need not wait for practicing pranayama till you get full mastery over the asana. Practice asana and side by side you can practice pranayama also. In course of time, you will acquire perfection in both. Pranayama can also be practiced by sitting in the chair erect. In Bhagavad Gita, the immortal song of Lord Krishna, you will find a beautiful description of seat and pose, in a pure secret place by himself established in a fixed seat of his own, neither too high nor too low, with cloth, black antelope skin and kusha grass one over the other, there, making the mind one-pointed, with thought and the functions of the senses controlled, steady on his seat, He should practice yoga for the purification of the self, holding the body, head and neck erect, firm, gazing steadily at the tip of the nose without looking around. Pranayama is the control of the prana and the vital forces of the body. It is regulation of the breath. This is the most important step. The aim of pranayama is the control of prana. Pranayama begins with the regulation of the breath for having control over the life currents or inner vital force. In other words, pranayama is the perfect control of the life currents through control of breath. Breath is external manifestation of the gross prana. A correct habit of breathing must be established by the regular practice of pranayama. In ordinary worldly persons, the breathing is irregular. If you can control the prana, you can completely control all the forces of the universe, mental and physical. The yogi can also control the omnipresent manifesting power out of which all energies take their origin, whether concerning magnetism, electricity, gravitation, cohesion, nerve currents, vital forces or thought vibrations, in fact the total forces of the universe, physical and mental. If one controls the breath or prana, the mind also is controlled. He who has controlled his mind has also controlled his breath. If one is suspended, the other is also suspended. If the mind and prana are both controlled, one gets liberation from the round of births and deaths and attains immortality. There is intimate connection between the mind, prana and semen. If one controls the seminal energy, the mind and prana are also controlled. He who has controlled his seminal energy has also controlled his prana and mind. He who practices pranayama will have good appetite, cheerfulness, handsome figure, good strength, courage, enthusiasm, a high standard of health, vigor and vitality and good concentration of mind. Pranayama is quite suitable for the Westerners also. A yogi measures the span of his life not by the number of years but by the number of his breaths. You can take in a certain amount of energy or prana from the atmospheric air along with each breath. Vital capacity is the capacity shown by the largest quantity of air a man can inhale after the deepest possible exhalation. A man takes 15 breaths in a minute. The total number of breaths comes to 21,600 times per day.